Good morning, everyone. Um, I'm writing this actually on Friday evening, so it's actually evening for me, or getting close to evening after work. Um, I wanted to make one more video. I promise, and some of you are going to be so thankful to hear this. This is my last political video I will record before the election. So the election's coming up, and I had to express myself in some way, and this is usually the way I do it, either this or in writing. And I'll try to keep this very short. But first of all, just the disclaimer, this represents no one except me. It does not represent my organization, where I work, or anyone else. This is just me and my opinion and my thoughts on what's coming up. Um, I have been, and if you disagree with this, please don't post it under here. Post it on your page. I don't allow argument on internet, on social media. It just doesn't make sense and it never works, and everybody gets mad at everybody. And that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid in making this. So anyway, I have a lot of friends and family that are on both sides of this aisle, on the Republican side, or actually it's not the Republican side. This is not the Republican Party that I grew up knowing, even though I was always Democrat. I knew the Republicans as being fiscally conservative, and they were always attempting to take the moral high ground, even though I did not agree with their moral high ground at times. That's what they were there for. Trump is a whole different animal. That's not Republican. Okay. So if you're just voting for him because it says Republican by his name, listen to Liz Cheney, listen to his entire upper administration from his last term. None of them are endorsing him, including his top general of the military is not endorsing Trump. And that's for a good reason. So this term, if he were to win, would be very different than his last term. And by that, I mean, he's much older. He's more confused than he's ever been. But also, he doesn't have the same people surrounding him because they refuse to endorse him. Even his vice president, Mike Pence, refuses to endorse him. He almost had him killed during the insurrection. So the first thing I want to address is the last election in 2020. I know you've been told it's stolen. It's not. It was not stolen. Democrats outperformed Republicans or Trump people. I should not say Republicans. Democrats outperformed. They outvoted the people that were supporting Trump in the 2020 election, and that was because we were tired, we were exhausted. It was a tumultuous 4 years. If you've forgotten, COVID hit. That was not Trump's fault that COVID hit, although he didn't know about it, and then beforehand, and he had cut the CDC right before it happened. So we might have had a better response at that time. And there's also confirmed reports just back that as soon as tests became available, he sent them to Putin and Putin's administration, not to the American people. I'm not even going to talk about that. What I want to talk about is currently what he's like and the people that he surrounds himself with, like Stephen Miller and other people like that, and JD Vance. There are going to be no guardrails on Trump. So when you saw the insurrection, which 64 cases, were brought by Trump, and that was perfectly within his right to question the election in 2020. 64, I think, court cases said no, there was nothing. There was no fraud. There was no widespread fraud. There was no fraud at all. In fact, the few cases that they found was like, a handful. It was like less than 30, I think, of fraud cases voted for Trump, not for the Democrat, not for Biden. So it was not still an election, and an insurrection on our Capitol was just horrendous, where police officers were attacked, our government was attacked, and that means we as people were attacked. We looked like a third world country, and we acted like a third world country at that time. I don't want that again. That peaceful transition of power is so important to our democracy. Then I look at their speeches and their rallies, and I look at Trump's rally from last Sunday in Madison Square Garden, which was the darkest, most horrendous thing, full of scare tactics against everything you can imagine, against crime, which is actually way down over the last 2 years, has dropped a lot. Immigration is way down. Trump had a chance with his cronies in Congress and passing a bipartisan bill that would have knocked it even better. Biden finally had to take an executive action to shut the border. I am not for completely shutting down the border. Okay. I am for making sure that we don't have criminals crossing over. And that's exactly what Kamala Harris has promised. And our system of immigration is better, where we get people into court faster to determine if they need refuge from their country because of violence. And so those are people that I admire and I love. Trump's speech was filled with so much hate and his whole rally and the people that don't tell me that they didn't vet what they're calling a comedian who if you do one online search, he's not really a comedian, he's a podcast guy. Um, they vetted it. In fact, they cut out the part where the guy was going to use the C word for Kamala Harris, which is just even takes it even further. But his remarks on the Latin people in our country and Puerto Ricans who are Latin too, but also if you look at the comments, the sexual comment that was made about Latin people was just horrendously horrible. When he talks about immigration, I just want everyone to understand because it is very, very clear when you listen to him and you watch him and you watch his actions that he is talking about people that are not the same color skin as me. He's talking about everyone except straight white males. Okay, straight white males are perfectly safe in our country. Nobody else is. Not women, not minorities, not people of color, brown, black. They're not protected. And when he says the enemy within and calls people vermin, I'm sorry, that's Trump speaking. That's not somebody they hired and vetted and looked at their speech. That's Trump talking. That's Hitler talk. That's Nazi. That's all I mean, the words are exactly the same. The vermin in our country, the immigrant vermin in our country, the enemy within. That's Hitler, okay? No guardrail Trump and a Hitler-esque type comments about discontinuing the Constitution when he first gets in office if he needs to get done what he needs to do. Armed military presence against protesters. He's already asked if we could shoot people in the legs during one protest when he was in presidency. That's not the United States, and that's certainly not the way I grew up. In fact, probably if I'd lived in Germany during Nazi times, I would have been the first one to be arrested or killed because I would have been taking in every person that I know of that was Jewish or LGBTQ who was also persecuted in the Holocaust. I would have been taking them in everywhere. I would hide them and I wouldn't be able to say no to anybody. So I would get caught. Okay. I'd get killed, probably get them killed too, because I just could not say no to anyone and helping anyone. That's not what Trump is talking about. When he talks about immigration, he's talking about people of color immigration. I think I stated that. He's not talking about white European immigration. You can tell. Listen to him. He's not talking about that. He's married to a European immigrant. JD Vance is married to an immigrant. So it just sickens me that so much hate and vile language and somebody that's already been convicted of tax fraud, somebody that's had 3 marriages and we're holding it up as this exemplary Christian, somebody that has been found guilty and had to pay millions upon millions of dollars to a woman that he molested. And I'm talking about E.G. Carroll. You can listen to him. He's not representing Christians, not the Christian faith that I grew up in. On the other side, we've got Kamala Harris. And if you watched her speech at the Ellipse or any of her campaign speeches, you will feel joy. You will feel hope for our country. You'll feel love toward other people in our country and our fellow citizens and love for others. She's not for open borders. She's talked about she's got a great policy on the plan for immigration. She's also got a great economic policy for the middle class. I've heard Trump call her low intelligence, and that's racist and misogynistic at the same time. Kamala Harris was she graduated from law school. She grew up middle class with a single mother, graduated from law school, was a district attorney, then became elected to be Attorney General in California. And then after she was elected to that, she was then elected to the Senate. And you don't get there, and then she was elected as vice president. You don't get there with low intelligence, okay? That's misogyny, that's racist, whatever you want to call it. He would not call a white male that, I'm sure. Well, maybe he would, I don't know. Um, I'm sick of the name calling. I'm sick of the racism, the misogynistic, the anti-LGBTQ, the anti-trans thing going on right now. They talk like, well, he's actually stated your child can go to school in the morning and come back home another gender. That's so ridiculous. Also, his lies about the aid during the hurricane during North Carolina and Georgia's when the hurricane hit them this last time, Helene, and he stated that Kamala Harris was sending money to illegal immigrants instead of the aid to FEMA to carry out their duties. That is so not true. That's one of the best responses we've had to a hurricane. And it's never a great response. You can't say that because people are hurting and injured, and a lot of people died in that. We had an outstanding response, one of the best responses on record for FEMA. So no, they were not sending money anywhere else. We had plenty of money to do what they were going to do. They had temporary aid of $75 that was just for a night or two, and then further aid after that. It did what it was supposed to do. And the governors of North Carolina and Georgia, Republican Georgia, stated that yes, FEMA did a great job and tried to dispel that misinformation that was going around about FEMA. People in their worst time of their lives, losing their home, family members, were told that there was no money, and there was. And it just sickens me to think we would have a president to do that. But this is the same president that was telling us to inject bleach and to take dog dewormer when COVID hit. So I don't know what to say. I just really don't. Kamala Harris is so competent, so intelligent, so empathetic with people, so strong for our country and our democracy and against dictators around the world. And if you want to talk about the Israel, Gaza, and our now Iran conflicts, I would put my bet on Kamala every time instead of Trump. I think Israel should defend itself. I do not think Israel should be continuing to go on. And that doesn't mean I'm anti-Jewish. In fact, I'm pro-Jewish. I'm anti-Netanyahu, though. I'm sorry, I am. He's killing innocent Gaza people in Gaza Strip that are by the millions, and it's just horrible. It's horrible. Innocent people, not Hamas. The Hamas leader that he's killed and the Hezbollah leader that he killed, that's great. That's fine. I don't like to say killing anybody's fine, but he killed the bad guys, but they're keeping going. Trump's going to hand that to Israel. Okay. Gaza will be no more, probably come under Israel's control, which is worse for the Middle East and horrible for those people, the Palestinian people of Gaza Strip. As far as Russia and Ukraine, Trump is pro-Putin. We all know that. We all know what a buddy he is with Putin. Putin and him have had conversations. They've talked 7 times since he's left the White House. Okay, and that's proven. It's record. And these hateful people he surrounded himself with, like Stephen Miller, who I'm sorry, I'm not going to say that, but he does look like he came out of a vampire movie. I'm sorry. I had to state it. He does. He scares me. Tucker Carlson and his hate-filled rhetoric about anybody that's not white, straight male like him. So Kamala Harris, competent, intelligent, great policy. If you don't know her policy, please read it. It's on her site. Great for middle class, great for Social Security, Medicare to keep it solvent, and for bringing us and process down so that we can have a better standard of living. She's got a plan for all that. We recovered from COVID, okay? When we recovered from COVID, every country around the globe, every first world country suffered. We've come back faster than any other country. Inflation is the problem now. Jobs are not the problem. One of the best job rate in history. So I guess I just want to say I grew up loving people. I grew up treating people as equals to myself. It didn't matter what color skin they had, who they loved, what gender they were. None of that mattered. I just grew up loving people, and I have a hard time believing that I know so many people that are calling themselves Christians that are not following the teachings of Christ right now. And they're trying to elect a leader that is the opposite of that, opposite of all of Jesus' teachings. So I don't know what to make of the church because of this, but or the people that go to church, I don't know. Anyway, I guess that's all I want to say. I was trying to keep it short. You know, I'm not a short talker, so I tend to go on and on once I get started. Please look at the competency of Harris. If I can watch that Madison Square rally and some of the other Trump rallies on TV, please just take a look at Kamala Harris's rallies. She talks about her policy. She talks about what she's going to do. If you can't stand listening to Kamala Harris, which God knows why you couldn't, because all she is love personified, and intelligence and competency personified. Listen to somebody like Liz Cheney, who I couldn't agree with anything on policy wise, but she's endorsed Kamala Harris and she's spoken and is on the campaign trail trying to get traditional Republicans to vote for Kamala Harris to keep us from going into a dang civil war. Okay. We're too divided, and Kamala is there, and she's already stated that she will be the president for all the people, not some of the people, not the ones that just voted for her, all of the people. Trump says the opposite. He talks about the enemy within. He talks about, well, he's already suing CBS because of a 60 Minutes interview where they fact checked. He doesn't want to be fact checked. Of course he doesn't. So anyway, I've said what I'm going to say. This is my last plea. Whatever you do and whatever direction you go in, please vote. This election is so important. Vote down ballot too. We don't need people that support Trump in office. We don't need Trump in office. So vote for your senators and your congressmen. Vote for the ones that are telling you the truth about the 2020 election, that it was won by Biden. Vote for the ones that don't deny that. Vote for the ones that stand for unity and bringing this country together. Vote for the ones that represent who you are as a person deep down, and I know you are. If I know you, I know you are. Because I've met you and you're my family and you're my friends. I love you all. Um, be glad I wasn't, well, I guess I should be glad I wasn't born or during a time during the World War where Hitler was around, because like I said, I wouldn't have lived very long. Um, and I'll do the same thing now. I'm sorry. I'll take anybody that's being persecuted and I will help anybody. And if somebody's hiding from our own military, if Trump takes office, and he stated he will do, I'll hide you. I'll do it. And if it's me, I'll hide him. Please hide me. Okay. If you voted for Trump, just know, me and my family depend on being free as well. And could use your assistance if that happens. All the polls right now are showing that Kamala's going to win, except for some deep state red polls that are kind of throwing the averages off. But it's all so close. So every single vote matters. Vote your conscience. Vote for what you know is right. Vote for how you grew up. Those people in North Louisiana, East Texas, South Louisiana that I know, vote your values. But please vote. Okay. Thanks. That's all I'm going to say. I love you all. I always will, no matter what. And I'll go down stating that. So, all right. That's it. Love you. Bye.